What is up, everybody? The Winning Wealthers. We're back. Geoff and Brock here, and we have a very special episode for episode 9 here with our friend and partner, Adam McCarthy. The guy owns 400 plus apartment units himself. He owns a property management company that manages almost 4,000 units. He's a partner in our private equity real estate business. He's a broker. He's sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate, and he's just getting started. So we think this will be a lot of fun for you guys, and looking forward to it. Tune in. Alrighty, and we are back. This is going to be a very special episode. We've got our dear friend and partner, Adam McCarthy, joining us. Some star power that we needed. It's actually to the champs from this past weekend. Ozaki member guest in epic fashion, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. But Adam's done a lot of awesome things in real estate and business. He's young and has a really, really unique story, and we're going to dive into that. And we all have a lot of fun working together, and want to just share some of his background and story with the listeners. So I guess to start it off, I mean, should we just talk about how we've met and stuff like that? So Adam and I met right out of college. He was like a mentor of mine at my first job at Paychex. We were slinging payrolls to daycares in the hood for the most part. He showed me the way. He showed me the sales strategy.
It was my first job out of college as well.
Yeah. And we kind of gravitated towards each other. You were a young guy. I'm a young guy. And I remember in one of the times that I was riding along with you, you were like negotiating a real estate deal. I think it was like one of your early duplexes, first or second or something. And we talked about investing, and I was just like, man, I haven't even thought about buying a rental property. Like it was like, wait, what? And then, we'd both left the company and stayed in touch or whatever. And then I just kind of remembered every time I talked to you, it was like, he's got 10 more units or 20 more units or whatever. And I'm like, I got to get into this. And so, that's a lesson for the listeners, right? When you have, something that's working, or somebody that's doing something that's working, and you want to work with them, just take action, because it took me a while, and I should have been, burning the boats and just going all in a lot sooner. But that's how we met. And then, we've been friends, that's over 10 years now. But, when you want to talk about kind of how.
So Geoff and I met, we probably told this story before. We met networking online, pretty much talking about getting into real estate together. And then Geoff was always talking about this guy, Adam. He was like, oh, you got to meet him. So then it was, I remember I was at the job I was at, I was like driving north to go to this like overnight work thing, which was not looking forward to. And on the way there, I was meeting up with Geoff and Adam for like a lunch at Bel Air Cantina.
Cudahy. Oak Creek.
Yep. And I just remember Geoff had already told me like everything you're doing. I was looking forward to it. And then I remember this guy, Adam, pulls up in this brand new Audi, and I'm just like, all right. And so I got to figure out a way to get in business with this guy. So we met, fast forward a few months later, and, we started doing Smart Asset Capital and growing from there. But yeah, it's awesome looking back at how we all got connected and started.
Yeah. Do you remember when I came into your office with I had like 4 books, and they were all about real estate syndication. And I was trying to convey it. And I was like, I don't know. I had like highlights and shit. I'm like, we got to do this. And then and at the same time, Brock was trying to do that too. And so I don't know. I remember that meeting, but I probably didn't do shit.
You were a big book guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were getting a lot of knowledge from books.
Yeah, big brains, big book, not such a big brains, but still try to find nuggets when I can. But I'll bring the nuggets to you when I get them. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole syndication idea came from you.
From reading those books, and thinking this could be this. Well, hold on, like we got the infrastructure here. Adam's he's got clients. So let's back up too. So Adam is, and we'll obviously we read his bio earlier, but he's a broker. Does a lot of sales volume, brokering real estate deals. He has a brokerage with a lot of other agents, Brock and I are both agents there at Smart Asset Realty. He's got a management company. How many units? 4,000 units or?
A little less, 3,850.
3,800. That also grows every time we talk. So he's got a lot of stuff going on, and that's when it was kind of like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, we could do syndication because we have all the pieces in place to just extend out that to another offering to investors, and it just made sense. So we've been having a lot of fun with it and want to grow the hell out of it.
So, okay, so let's take a step back, kind of focus more. So, like, tell them your story. Like, how did you get, where'd you come from? How did you get into real estate in the beginning? And talk about that story.
I remember in college liking the idea of owning investment properties. I remember even looking at a duplex like a couple weeks before graduation, and ended up buying a duplex to live in, the house hack. That was great. Really saw the value in getting the other side, paying for most of your mortgage.
Yeah.
That idea just kind of went a little further when then I bought another one and another one. So W-2 jobs for 5 years out of college, and every commission check that I got just went 100% into another duplex.
Mm-hmm.
And it was obsessed is maybe the right word, but I just couldn't get enough units as quick. Looking back on it, it worked out great because it was the perfect time to gobble up units. I look at it and say, okay, I graduated college in 2010. If I graduated college in 2020, it would be a completely different market. So just as many units as I could, and then 26, 27 units I had when I was at American Express was my second W-2 job out of college. And it was great, but I had enough at that point and enough knowledge to say, all right, I think there is a real estate business here. I think there is a way that people want to invest in real estate. They just don't want to deal with the problems, the bullshit that comes with 2 a.m. phone calls, or how do you even identify a property? How do you know it's a good property?
Yeah.
Well, these were all other people's concerns that I think I had all the answers to, so we gave it a go.
And so looking back at and I think you even told the story, you were even using commission, but you were using credit cards too to buy you were aggressively buying properties.
Yeah, we gotta dive into that a little bit.
So I didn't know about this credit card, getting cash, 0% for 12 months, 16 months. So I actually remember I opened up a piece of mail, and it was a Discover card, and it said, we will give you, your full limit, 0% for 16 months. And I was like, well, geez, 16 months, I could buy a duplex and then figure out how to pay that back over 16 months. So you don't pay the interest. And so I did, and they gave me 20 grand. So they also gave me a checkbook. So I took that checkbook and I bought a duplex, $20,000 down on a $100,000 property.
Yeah.
Not sure if the bank knew I was using borrowed money to get more borrowed money, but worked out great. Did that 3, 4, 5 times. Yeah. And then 16 months now is around the corner. So I remember selling one of the buildings after providing value, getting the rents up, cosmetic updates, whatever it is, was able to sell one property to pay off the other 4.
Yeah.
And was able to get rid of all that 0%.
Were you at that? So this is 2011, 2012-ish in that time?
This was 14.
Yeah, probably closer to 14.
Okay. So, I mean, at that time, realistically, right, you could throw a dart at the map and you could, everything was a good deal. Looking back at it, at that time, did you know this is where we're at in the market, and or was it more so you knew real estate was the right thing to be buying?
I was being very aggressive with it. I mean, I knew it was a good value. I knew it was a good risk. Did I know it was throw a dart at the MLS board and I could have bought it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know we were in that good of a market. I didn't have quite the same macroeconomics understanding that I would now. But something told me that this is the right play.
Do you think it was the cash flow? Because it just makes sense, right? If you can get cash flow, especially when you were starting out at first, and you can get, I think it's 4 of them that you get the long-term loans, right? Like, how do you go wrong? Like, the rent's not going to go down over time, right?
Well, I never did any conventional loans when it came to an investment property. I always did commercial.
Okay.
Just because I didn't actually make enough money to support having these other properties the way that conventional financing would underwrite it.
Yeah.
So you find a local smaller bank that is willing to take a little bit more of a risk.
Yeah.
And they don't have to follow the government guidelines. They can just kind of internally say yes or no.
Yeah. I did want to take a step back too, because also when we were driving around in the hood, I do remember you've been investing in stocks even from a young age, right? Like, how old were you when you bought your first stock?
It's probably 8th or 9th grade.
Yeah. And that's, so the reason I bring that up too is you always hear about Warren Buffett buying his first stock at 10 years old or something like that, right? And so it's not like when you started looking at real estate deals, it's not like you were already a relatively seasoned investor. You'd already been investing in stocks. You've been, really watching your money. You weren't, an idiot with money in college and whatnot. And then real estate came along and it just seemed to be an asset class that made a lot of sense. I wanted to take a step back because I remember that about you too. And that was another thing. Like, I had started buying stocks at that age. I was 22 or something, but I wasn't like buying them at 10 years old or 11 or 12 or something.
I always found it interesting. My grandma was, she always had it was called Morningstar. So it was like a rating website, but there was a book. And I remember reading it and kind of finding it interesting. So you'd go to the page and you'd see Apple.
Yeah.
They would have Apple rated as a 5-star. And then they would tell you why they rated it as a 5-star. You'd kind of read into it and, this company has this growth and this PE ratio. And so I learned it early, and it was just a blast. Like, I was kind of I guess I was a nerdy middle schooler because I really enjoyed reading about the stocks. And then I started taking action. You buy $200-$300 of a stock.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of slowly would build up into enough. And that's actually how I got my down payment on my first duplex.
Yeah.
Was I sold my Apple shares, and that was the exact down payment.
So yeah, you did stocks. Like, I know you do some other stuff too, but like, why real estate? Obviously, real estate's your main investment vehicle. Why real estate over hundreds of other things you can be investing in?
Real estate, to me, I always saw it a little bit better. I kind of had a more of a clear picture. Love the stock market. I still today love it. I trade it. I'm just not that good at it. I probably gamble a little bit too much when it comes to trying to find the winner. Real estate, I mean, if you look at, I don't know the stats, but they say you look at any 10-year graph, and real estate is kind of always outperforming every other asset class.
Yeah.
It is, I think they say it's the safest asset class. It has the most upside potential. I liked it because you were able to buy a $300,000 property without $300,000.
Yeah.
So you were able to leverage this bank money at whatever interest rate that was less than your return.
Yeah.
So if you're putting 20% down, 5 times more of that money is actually coming from someone else, and you're leveraging that to make more.
Yeah.
And so that was the biggest reason why I was attracted to real estate. I saw the growth a little bit better. It's more work than stocks, right? Stocks, you click some buttons and you don't have to care how Apple's performing. You just let them do it. Real estate, you have to be a little more hands-on, and I think that's why you get paid a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point you brought up too. Like getting leverage, right? You go into JP Morgan Chase and ask them to borrow you 75% money to invest in their stock. They're going to say no. Go in there and ask them to borrow you 75% money to go out and buy a property. They're going to say yes, right? So it's like, that just proves it, what you're saying.
Every all these banks, I mean, even Warren Buffett at one point said, I would take every penny I have right now and buy every single family home in America.
Yeah.
When the market was really low. And that was kind of at the beginning of stages. And so, and he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, you gobble up stuff from 2010 to 2015 and all that stuff pretty much doubled.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have timed it better.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So stocks, real estate, what, any other like stuff you're investing in?
More so now, just because of the challenges in real estate. And, real estate is still a really good investment. You just got to, as you know, you're underwriting deals all the time. You have to be a little bit more careful not to do something silly just to do it. But so occasionally a random investment will come up, invested in a popcorn company. Guy has a really good just idea and plan to get into the brewers and packers and then Quick Trip maybe. And so I saw it. He needed capital to expand his facilities to be able to handle more inventory. And it was the perfect, I'm putting the money in. It's not going in his pocket. It's actually going into the business that now I need to perform well to get a return.
And so we don't need to talk through the numbers, but just how is the deal structured similar? We talked about it a little bit on the golf course. Is it structured similar to it's, I know you're getting a solid, I don't know, you said it converts to equity at some point, but you're getting a really solid kind of interest payment or how is that structured?
Yep. So there's a good interest payment on it. And then there's also back end sales payment. And then yes, eventually it will convert to equity when that equity would be worth more than the sales.
Yep.
Creative structure, but it was a win-win for both of us.
Absolutely. And how'd you find that deal? How did they find you?
One of my clients is friends with the owner, and he actually invested into it.
Yeah.
And so he just mentioned it to me, and I had a real estate deal that fell through. So I kind of had this cash set aside for a deal. The deal didn't happen, so I needed to find a place to put it that wasn't the stock market where I would end up losing it.
Or Vegas, right?
Vegas, yeah.
Popcorn.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Let's get them in Quick Trip.
Going back a little bit to what you said about the property management company, and we're 3,800 units now. What is how did that work? Because that's a lot of units, right? I know building a property management company isn't easy. It takes scale to get to a certain point where you're actually making money from it. How did that process go? Where you're I'm actually gonna build this into a big revenue generating business?
To be honest, it was more of an accident than anything. So the whole idea of the business was people want to invest in real estate. They just don't know how, and they don't want to deal with it. So that's where being a broker, finding the property, analyzing the property, saying, okay, this is the one. This is why. Here's your cash on cash return. I think this is a good deal. But then the second piece to it is, but also at the closing table, we're going to take the keys. So you can just be the investor. That's where the management company came in. The management company was originally designed as the necessary evil for me to sell additional properties. Well, you somehow get up to 1,000, 1,500 units. Now that management company is actually profitable. It's actually making money. So the challenge was growing that and finding good staff, which I can't say enough good things about my staff. They're great. I mean, that is really what.
It's a real team.
It's a real team, family. They do great. Take care of your people, and they really will take care of you as well.
So how would you say about that? Because we're trying to always dig into what other people can do to be successful. So being successful in finding and building a great culture and team, what do you look for when you're looking for people or how did you kind of go about finding the right people? Because it's not easy, right?
Yeah. So I had a very specific idea that I didn't need somebody who knew property management. I needed smart people. I felt like I could teach anybody property management, but you can't teach somebody how to be smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, if they don't have good work ethic and they're not smart, they're just not a good option.
Yeah.
But smart people, depending on what their skill set is, then you figure out what department that would translate into property management. So we manage a little differently than other management companies. We don't have just this is your property manager, and that person does everything for you. We manage in departments.
Yeah.
So we have a leasing team. We have a couple different maintenance teams, depending if it's a flip or just something that needs to be fixed for a current tenant, right? You have collections. You have all the different departments that they are focused and they are going to be experts on their trade.
Yep.
And the negative of that is, as the owner, you have to go to not just one person to say, what's up with this? You have to know the different departments, but those departments are experts in their field.
Yeah.
And they really learn and help grow. And management is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard. So without quality people that really know their department,
yeah,
you could just do it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. And I would totally agree. It's a great team, and the people, obviously, I mean, I know them better than anybody, but just for anyone listening, I know you got a lot of out-of-state buyers that come in, and they, you know, someone from California or something, right, and they don't have a team or whatever. I would guess if you interviewed Smart Asset versus some of the other competitors, you'd find a lot of differentiators that you know, that they go above and beyond and are just more of kind of a team family mindset, and you guys do things a bit differently. So I'm fortunate because even the stuff that I own without you guys with Smart Asset Capital, you know, I get to work with the team on it, and it's been nothing but a great experience.
Yep, I agree.
What is your goal for like the management company? I mean, what would your goal be for like the management company, but then also like goals in general? Like where do you want to take this thing?
I'm not a very good like write down my goals kind of person. So I also don't like to put a limitation on it.
Yeah.
So I just always say more.
Yeah.
Right. So controlled growth to just keep going.
Yeah.
I get bored easily, so I want to always try to stay busy with work, and that will just kind of naturally create, you know, just continued growth.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, say, oh, I want to be at 5,000 units in 3 years. Yeah, sure, sounds about right. I mean, that just good steady growth that just keeps going.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, switching gears a little bit. So the premise of the Winning Wealth podcast is health, wealth, and happiness, and which we think like being an entrepreneur provides more opportunity to grow those fields. So what would you say is the thing you like most about being an entrepreneur, or the biggest benefit you think being an entrepreneur provides?
The freedom is good. I mean, you have the freedom if you're smart with your time, right? I mean, it's not just like, oh, I don't have to work today because I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, it's kind of the opposite, and especially at the beginning. I mean, the growing of a business is just it's hard to explain how hard that is. But then once you are at a point where it is a little bit more stable, until you go and start something different. Mm-hmm. But once you're at a point where it is a little stable, that's the best part. I mean, working and taking care of your clients so that they're happy, and you make friends that way, and it's just a true win-win is the best reward that I would get. But yes, the positives are, you want to go golfing today at 2:00? Yeah. And it's like, sure, we can call that work, right? Let's go golfing.
Yeah. Controlling your schedule, right? Is like, it's so, you work a couple hours in the morning, go golf, maybe you work a couple hours at nighttime, like you want to take a couple days off, go on a trip with the family. Like, you got so much more control of your schedule compared to being in a 9 to 5, where so you got to be in the office these times, and like, no, if you want to get off early to go golf, it's a big thing. You got to get approved by your boss, and it's, for me too, like that's the biggest differentiator I've noticed.
It's not a punch in, punch out thing, right? So that's where the difference of, you know, punching in, punching out, and then you can just turn your brain off at 5:01 and be done, right? I mean, it's just the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. So if you want to golf in the afternoon or the morning, then you just know, well, your computer works at home just the same way it works in the office. Yeah. So you just got to make up that time. You want to go out of town, everywhere has Wi-Fi. Yeah. You know, just get your 3-4 hours in, and at least don't get too far behind. Yeah. To the point of, but again, that's, you could call that a negative as well, where the work never stops. Yeah. So you want to go on vacation, great. You know, everyone needs the vacation to reset, but unfortunately, those emails don't stop coming in. So I always try to just do at least an hour a day, 2 hours a day to minimize and make sure there's no fires that need to be put out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got one for you. So there's this term of like, you've made it, right? Like you feel like you've made it. Is there a specific point in your career where you were like, I did it, right? Like I've made it, set up the life I want, or do you feel like you haven't even gotten there yet?
It goes back to, all my support, right? Staff, everybody who helps, and where I can go leave and go do something, whether it is work or fun, but I'm not in the office, I'm not in front of my computer, and something just gets done. To me, that was when the light bulb went off of like, oh, that's nice. That's great. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't need to put out that fire. One of my 6 people who also put out fires did it for me. I didn't even know about it until it was 100% completed. Yeah. So they took the stress off of me. They took the work off of me. They took the communication with whoever needed to be communicated with off of me completely. So that is the one moment I actually do remember, is coming home and checking my email at 8 o'clock and seeing an email thread of starting with just a massive problem. And at the end of it, it was 100% solved. And I remember smiling, just being like, that's really cool. That's
amazing.
Awesome.
That's a great example. I agree.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that. The thing is, they say too, I don't know who says it, but I've heard a quote or something somewhere, like the hallmark of a great leader is that they can basically step away and the business keeps operating. It keeps going, and they're not necessarily needed in the business. They can kind of work strategically on the business. Obviously everybody has the stuff that they do day to day to try to move things forward and get shit done. But it's a great feeling to have, problems get solved without you even knowing about them.
If, I think this is common sense, but I look at it in other people that I know, other managers or owners that need to be in control of everything.
Yeah.
And that never made sense to me, because I actually had a good understanding early on of knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not good at, and getting rid of those things that you're not good at.
Yeah.
Or especially things that you're not good at and you hate doing.
Yeah.
Man, those just fall down at the bottom of your to-do list so quick.
Yeah.
And something like, oh, that can be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
The things that can be done tomorrow, they almost never get done.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow they can be done tomorrow. And they just keep getting pushed and pushed. So the sooner you can recognize in yourself what you just aren't good at and what you don't want to do, get that off your plate. And that was the aha moment for me of trusting somebody else to take care of a task.
Yeah.
That brings up a good point. So like, what is like an example of something you like don't like doing or feel you're not good at? And then on the other hand, what is an example of something that you feel like you are really good at and you do enjoy doing?
So what I am good at and I enjoy doing is talking to a new client. So a potential new client. Lead will come in, and I like to sell my company myself, right? I'm passionate about it. They can feel that passion.
Yep.
And I just feel like I can sell it better than any of my other agents or any of my other staff. So I keep all of that.
Yeah.
Actually, you're a great example. I'm really good at underwriting properties. I did it well before you came along.
Yeah.
But you do it better than me, actually. You do spend more time doing it, and you like it. And
3 screens up.
It's really easy to hit forward, Brock.
Yeah.
Look at this. And then you give me the pretty picture, and you just saved me, 2-3 hours of a deep dive underwriting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love doing that. It takes a lot of time.
It does. And that's a good point. I think in partnerships, like, it's good to have someone has a skill set in something else, right? And you're better at something. So I'd say that was a good example. Like for me, I like being in spreadsheets. I like underwriting deals, getting into the details. And then I suck at not getting better at it, right? But more the sales side, negotiating side. Like it's not my strong suit. Whereas you negotiate some pretty good deals for us.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, I'll make that call.
Yeah. I think it's fun for you to negotiate.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love that. It's awesome. What was I going to say? How about somebody that is, and because I've heard you say this before too, in random times, I don't know if it's on the golf course or when, but like something along the lines of like anybody that wants to be successful can, if they want to bad enough or whatever, right? Like what would your tips be for somebody that, is young, and obviously we're in a different climate, real estate wise, investment wise, with loan, with interest rates and everything right now, and demand, and supply and demand. But like, what would your advice be to somebody that's starting out, that wants to build a real estate portfolio, or build build a clientele base as an agent, or and be somebody that can, buy a house on a lake and have a boat and a nice car and just a nice, become wealthier?
Work harder.
Yeah.
Right. So too many people want to be successful and not put in the real time that it takes.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure most people know what the real time that it takes actually is.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm glad that I had deep down in me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I had it until your back's up against a wall and you're too busy. You sold too many deals and you're growing too fast.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to take my foot off the gas and grow less. It just meant that I had to work harder.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that enough in other people.
Yeah.
They say they want to be successful. They say they want to grow.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, they don't have that extra gear.
Yeah.
They can't find that extra gear that you need to find, and then you need to actually do it.
Yeah.
So if you have to stay up all night and work,
I was going to say that.
You stay up all night and work.
There's been numerous times, especially back, a few years ago, when I remembered, meeting up with you the next day or whatever, and you're like, I didn't sleep at all last night. I literally was in here. I mean, numerous times, at least 4 or 5 times, and that was just the times that I was meeting with you on those days. So I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, the kids, kids would give me a little, grief when I don't see them sometimes at night.
Yeah.
But if that's what needs to be done, and you're serious about growing your business and being successful, you have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You still have 5 things on your to-do list.
Yeah.
You get those things done. Otherwise, tomorrow you're going to end the day with 8 things on your to-do list, and then 15, and no excuses.
No excuses.
I think especially with social media and stuff, right? Like people see the other side of that, where it's like, oh, you're on vacations all the time and such an easy life, but they don't see the other side of it, of the 5 years in the beginning, or the ongoing all-nighters and things you did to get to that point, right? It's not just
nights and
that doesn't happen overnight, right? You got to grind for at least several years, all in, to get to that point. So now you have more freedom, right? And you can outsource things. You can, work a little bit less sometimes and still grow the business. So I think a lot of people miss that side of, you got to go through that stage before you get to this next stage.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, it's, how important is it for you to relay that message to somebody? I mean, it is and it isn't. I do sometimes see people will kind of have that opinion of, oh, you're at a golf outing again today.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's work. But also it's like, I don't have to,
yeah.
This is what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Do deals get done on the golf course? Does business get done out on the golf course? Building the relationships, does it actually happen?
Yes. Short answer is yes. My philosophy is I don't like to talk business on the golf course unless it's a good group, right? Unless it's somebody that, when we're golfing, right? We locked up a deal on the golf course, or, we'll submit the counter offer because we're talking about it. That's fine. But if I'm meeting somebody on the course, no, I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan more of, we're going to have a good day. You're going to get to know me, and we can talk business after if it makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you're out with a broker or partners and the idea is to discuss a deal, for sure, there's no better place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I got another question. So someone that's,
I think
we touched, Jess, let's maybe wrap with here, is someone that's just, they want to get into real estate, right? Let's use real estate. So they want to get into real estate. They've started, maybe did a little bit of education. What's their first big step they should take to get into the real estate space?
They want to buy their first property?
They want to buy their first property, start investing in real estate.
Have a good broker, have a good agent, somebody that actually knows what they're doing. There's too many, and I say this loosely, but there's too many residential agents who think showing a duplex or a 4-unit, because it's still a residential offer to purchase, is, oh, here's the kitchen, here's the bathroom. Like that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. If your agent or at least a consultant doesn't understand what cash on cash return is, and that's what I would say, ask them. Can you explain cash on cash return to me? And if they can't, you have the wrong agent. Because they have to be able to minimally show you what your return is. More importantly, they have to understand the true expenses. So anybody can make a property work on paper, but if they're using 2% vacancy and 3% expenses, it's just not realistic, right? You have to know, okay, I understand this market, this neighborhood, this property, right? Yeah, the rents should be this, but they're not. And to get them there, you might have a vacancy, you might have a flip cost. So, and we struggle with this all the time as a property management company. New owner comes in, they have a property, they're wondering why it's not performing. Well, you overpaid for it. You bought a bad property. It happens all the time. And that starts with the agent. And if your agent doesn't own real estate himself or have a true understanding, you got the wrong guy.
Which really is a plug too for Smart. We were plugging the management company before, not plugging it, but talking about just the team and the family environment. But Smart Asset Realty in and of itself is an investor-friendly brokerage. Like, this isn't, the brokerage that you would go to if you're planning to go buy a $2 million luxury house on Lake Michigan. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, easy.
I don't want to. I don't speak in specifics, but generalities. Like, for the most part, it's investment focused agents.
It is, yeah. So of the agents on the brokerage side, 3 or 4 of them actually do not do well in investment properties. They like the single family homes. Me as well. I can say any agent can do that to a point, as long as you have the negotiation skills. So that's on the other side, working with the other agent that's on the listing side, and what's important, like what do we need to do to get this deal done, right? To be able to get a little bit on the inside, that also takes some skill as an agent to give your client the best chance of winning that property.
Gotta find an edge.
Always.
Let's hear about that shot, or how about that final putt when you to win this championship? What were you thinking when you were standing over it?
It wasn't that hard of a putt, all things considered. What was it, 4 or 5 feet?
I left him with. It was a tough one. I had a shitty putt, and I left him with a hard one to win. Yeah,
hard one to win, and knew it was for the win. And I actually said to myself, and I don't do this much, but as a kid, right, you're shooting free throws. You always play it in your head. Game 7, NBA Finals, 2 shots, you're down by 1, right? You always have fun with it. I almost did something a little bit like that with the putt. I was like, all right, this is what we woke up for. Right? I have a chance right now to win and take care of my teammate so he doesn't feel awful for leaving me with too much.
It's a hard one. I mean, there was 100 people around the green watching. It was a high pressure situation. It wasn't just like a little, it was high pressure.
I wish I had my Apple Watch on so I could have seen what my heart rate was, because I could feel
Mine was
it.
Going. It was going.
But it's why I woke up.
Did you drill it and know that you were going to hit it, or did you?
I knew I was going to make it. At least I told myself before I putted it. Positive thoughts. Phil Mickelson vision.
That's right.
See it in. And I'm so glad it went in, because if not, I would have felt real bad.
I think that's a wrap. That's a good one.
And that was the interview with Adam McCarthy, our business partner at Smart Asset Capital. Some great stuff we went through, some great takeaways, people that are trying to get into real estate. And I wanted to mention too, he'll actually be one of the speakers at our events, the Winning Wealth Summit that we're holding in Milwaukee, September 29th, September 30th. Go to winningwealth.co to get some more information on that, to grab a ticket and join us there. Appreciate you tuning in.